Nobody expected a Chinese crane company to change the global balance of power. And yet, in May 2025, in a factory in Changsha, 3 engineers stood in front of a machine and quietly understood that what they had built would not stay in China for long. The weight of this machine was so massive that its slewing platform alone, meaning just the rotating base, was as heavy as 6 fully loaded Boeing 747 aircraft stacked right on top of each other. Its boom arm, when fully extended, would reach so high into the sky that it rivaled Egypt's largest pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and you could still build a 2-story house right on top of it. At that height, it could lift the weight of 2,500 average cars in a single jerk. This number sounds impossible until you understand that the previous world record for an all-terrain crane was half of this. And Zoomlion had already built that machine too, back in 2022. The ZT400H did not just set a new record, it made the old record look remarkably small. But the crane is not the story. The crane is the answer to a question that China has been asking itself for 30 years. And understanding that question is the only way to understand why this machine matters far beyond the desert it was built for. In 1992, former Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping made a remark that did not get much attention at the time. "The Middle East has oil," he said. "China has rare earths." What he understood, earlier than almost anyone else, was that the country controlling the resource the world needs most will always have leverage, power, that no army can match. For 30 years after that statement, China pursued energy independence with quiet, patience, and urgency. The problem was structural and severe. China imports its master share, meaning more than 70% of its oil, from overseas, and almost all of it travels through the Strait of Malacca, a narrow marine alley that is so tight that 2 large ships can barely pass side by side. In 2019, the United States secured the right to dock aircraft carriers at Singapore's deep-water naval bases, which sit directly at the entrance to that strait. China's military planners reached an uncomfortable conclusion. In a serious conflict, America could cut China's oil supply within 24 hours without firing a single missile. That vulnerability had a name, the Malacca Dilemma, and China decided it would spend whatever it took to solve it permanently. The answer was not pipelines, reserve stockpiles, or diplomatic agreements. The answer was to build an energy system so large and so domestic its own that imported oil became optional rather than essential. Wind, solar, hydro, nuclear, all of it, all at once, at a scale that had never been attempted anywhere on Earth. And the place with the strongest, most consistent wind in China was not convenient. It was the Gobi Desert. The Gobi covers roughly northern China and southern Mongolia, a piece of land so vast that the entirety of India or Pakistan could fit inside it 2 to 3 times over, and there would still be space left. It is not a soft sandy desert. It is a cold, hard windswept plateau where temperatures crash below -40 in winter and climb past 45 in summer. Almost no one lives out there. There are no cities nearby. The roads were not built for machines weighing thousands of tons. But the wind blows with remarkable consistency, strong, steady, and reliable, across almost every month of the year. China looked at the Gobi and saw something that most countries would have looked at and walked away from. The Jiuquan Wind Power Base, also known as the Gansu Wind Farm, already sits in that desert and is the largest wind power complex in the world, featuring a jungle of white towers so massive that if you lined them up in a single row, an entire country would end before the turbines did. But those turbines were a generation behind what China is now deploying. The new turbines require towers that are taller than average city skyscrapers, with blades so long that no crane then in existence could safely reach the required installation height. China needed a machine that did not exist. So a company that had spent 3 decades quietly building toward exactly this moment built one. Zoomlion Heavy Industry Science and Technology was founded in 1992, the exact same year Deng Xiaoping made his rare earths statement in Changsha, Hunan Province. For its first decade, it built concrete pumps and mixers for China's domestic construction boom. Then it began making cranes, then bigger cranes, then the largest cranes in the world. In 2012, Zoomlion built the world's largest all-terrain crane, a record that drew genuine surprise from the global construction equipment industry. In 2022, it built a new version and broke its own record again. And in May 2025, at the Changsha International Construction Equipment Exhibition, it delivered the first 3 units of the Z8400H, a monster crane that made every earlier machine in its class look like a prototype. According to the company's official 2025 annual results, Zoomlion's business was growing rapidly, with international sales making up its largest share. The crane China needed to build its own wind independence had simultaneously become a product the entire world was buying. But before it could be exported anywhere, it had to prove itself in the place that demanded the most from it. Moving the Z400H from the factory floor to the Gobi Desert installation site was not logistics. It was a coordinated operation involving 28 heavy transport vehicles carrying components over public roads on a very long journey. Each component had to fit within legal road transport width limits while still being structurally capable of functioning as part of a heavy lifting system, a constraint obstacle that shaped every single design decision from the beginning. When the convoy arrived, the site offered nothing: no workshop, no support infrastructure, no shelter from the wind. Assembly began with the ground itself. Outrigger pads were placed first to prevent the crane from sinking into the desert soil under its own mass. The slewing ring was lifted into position using 2 support cranes working in coordination, and engineers aligned the 2 mating surfaces to centimeter precision before the hydraulic locking pins could engage. The main boom was then assembled in 7 sections using automated hydraulic pin connections, rather than the manual sledgehammer methods used in older cranes. As the 7th section locked, and the full arm extended toward the sky, engineers at the site later noted that the machine stopped looking like construction equipment. The superlift counterweight wings came last, 2 arms extending outward at opposing angles, creating the mechanical balance that allows heavy lifts without the machine toppling, flipping. When the wings reached full extension, the crane's ground footprint was wider than a standard city block. The counterweight loaded for this deployment was heavier than the weight of 12 adult elephants. Engineers confirmed this was significantly below the crane's maximum capacity. There was room, in every measurable sense, for more. The turbine installation required 3 cranes working in relay. A small crane set the foundation ring and lowest tower sections. A medium crane took over for the middle section, building the structure to roughly half its final height. Then the Z400H stepped in, the only machine on Earth capable of completing what came next. The nacelle, which houses the generator, gearbox, and control systems, weighed more than 100 of the heaviest SUV cars in the world, and had to be placed at the top of a tall skyscraper in the desert wind. 4 separate ground crews held load-managed stabilizing lines attached to all corners of the nacelle throughout the entire lift. If it rotated even slightly at that height and contacted the tower, the structural consequences would have been unrecoverable. The crane provided vertical force. The ground teams provided rotational control. The nacelle rose. It locked. Then came the blades, and the problem that engineering preparation had not fully solved in advance. Each blade is longer than an American football field, and carrying it flat from the factory required a purpose-built transport vehicle with an extendable chassis. On open highway, this worked. On mountain access roads with tight turns, the extendable chassis failed. It could not navigate the required turn radius. The engineering team switched to a shorter chassis, which immediately created a cantilever problem. The blade extending beyond the front axle lifted the rear wheels off the ground. The vehicle became uncontrollable. The solution was to add weight to the entire transport, increasing the total vehicle mass to match the heavy weight of a full train engine to keep all wheels grounded through every mountain turn. 3 support vehicles traveled in formation with each blade transport for the entire mountain section, day and night. The first blade reached the site on schedule. Then it sat on the ground for nearly a full day. Wind gusts on the mountaintop were crossing the safe lift threshold. The aerodynamic profile of such a long blade is like a wing, which is exactly what makes turbines productive, and exactly what makes them a catastrophic spectacle to lift in a strong crosswind. The crane cable would twist under lateral load, control would be lost. So the team waited. The afternoon passed, the evening came, the temperature dropped to single digits. Workers rested near the blade on the ground, monitoring wind sensors, watching the Gobi sky shift through colors that most people never see because most people never go where they were. These were not people waiting for a problem to resolve itself. They were people who understood that the desert operates on its own schedule, and their job was to be present and ready the instant that schedule aligned. Before dawn, the sensors showed the wind dropping below the threshold. The crew was at stations within minutes. The lift ran in near silence, hydraulics, cable tension, and the desert. When the first blade locked into the hub at the top of the nacelle as the sun rose over the eastern Gobi, the crew moved immediately to the second. The second went up in cleaner conditions. The third blade required the support loaders to pull its transport up the steepest section of road together. One final logistical problem solved by adding more machines. Then it was done. A turbine was completed that produces more electricity every single hour than an average household consumes in an entire month. Here is the number that reframes everything that just happened. China spent so much money on clean energy in a single year that if you spent 1 lakh rupees every single second, it would still take you 150 years to exhaust it, which makes up almost 1/3 of the entire world's clean energy investment. They added more wind energy capacity in a single year than the entire installed wind capacity of most large countries. Their total installed wind capacity ranks first globally. And according to reports, their green energy business alone has become larger than the total earnings entire economy of hundreds of nations. And Zoomlion, the company that built the crane, is seeing its international growth rapidly accelerate, with its products now operating in every corner of the world. The crane China needed to solve its own Malacca dilemma is now the machine that the rest of the world uses to build its own wind infrastructure. That is not a side effect. That is industrial strategy compounding across 30 years. Global Power's old framework was built on a simple equation. Control the resource, control the leverage. Oil fields in the Persian Gulf, tanker routes through narrow straits. All of it was geography turned into geopolitical force. The country sitting on top of the deposit set the terms. Everyone else negotiated. What China has been systematically building since 1992 is a different equation entirely. Instead of competing for fixed deposits, China is building the capacity to generate energy from resources that exist everywhere: wind, sun, water. And critically, China is building the machines required to convert those resources into power at scale. A master share of the world's solar panels is manufactured in China. China dominates global production for green hydrogen, and China has now delivered the world's largest crane purpose-built for wind turbine installation and is selling it worldwide. The strategic logic is identical to the oil era, but the leverage mechanism is different. In the oil era, power came from controlling the deposit. In the clean energy era, power comes from controlling the factory. The Zate 4000H in the Gobi Desert is a visible data point in a decades-long pattern that is only now becoming fully legible to Western analysts. A country that builds the machines that build the world's energy infrastructure does not need oil fields. It has something more durable, the tools themselves, and the world is already buying them. If this changed how you think about what a crane actually means in 2026, hit the like button and subscribe so you do not miss what we cover next. Turn on notifications, because the next video in this series connects directly to what China is building after the wind farm, and it is going to land just as hard. Here is the question for the comments. The machine China built to solve its own energy vulnerability is now being sold worldwide. Does that mean China has already won the clean energy era, or is the real competition only just beginning? Drop your answer below. We read every single one.